Hi, I'm Michael Allison, the Commercial Director at Roma Finance, and welcome to another episode of RomaTalks, where we meet people from across the property ecosystem. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Samm Piper from Legal & General.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm very good. So before we go any further, tell us a little bit about Legal & General and what they do in the finance world.
So Legal & General are the longest running mortgage club in the UK. We've been around for 30 years this year. Woohoo, party us.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yep, it's been a while. And we work with mortgage advisors and lenders alike. We are the intermediary in the middle. In layman's terms, we're a payment route, but we do far much more than that. We work with lenders on their products and we work with brokers on what it is that they need from their lenders.
Brilliant. So mortgage club, how does that differ from a network, or is that?
So we don't have compliance. We don't have any form of compliance. We don't say that advisors must use us or lenders must use us. We are literally there to help anybody in whatever situation it is. Along the way, we've used everything that we've learned and we've created a sourcing tool and everything. So we literally want to just help the intermediaries, help that end consumer in whatever means possible.
Brilliant. Well, we'll circle back round to that. But before we do, tell us how you got into the world of, obviously you weren't there 30 years ago.
No.
What you've done and how you've led to today, I guess.
I got here by accident.
Right, okay.
I think it's safe to say nobody comes to financial services on purpose unless you go to uni for that.
Yep.
I can honestly say I have absolutely no letters after my name, nothing financial services at all. I'm a dancer by training, which is not how you end up here. But I came home from a job overseas and needed a job, put my CV on Indeed, and Legal & General hired me. Started in the valuations side of the business, 14 years ago. It's been a while. And then I came over to Mortgage Club 11 years ago, and I've been in this role for 6.5 years.
Brilliant. I love it when people just find a job, find that niche, what they didn't know they were looking for, but work all the way through. So out of everything you've done, what do you particularly enjoy about your role?
Lender relationships for me, it's the people. I just like talking to people. So thank you for having me today and letting me do what I like. So yeah, it's just the people side of it. It's that being able to work closely with somebody and see something come to fruition. With a lender and the actual products that they're providing, the criteria changes, or just seeing a new lender come to market and see it flourish.
So over the last 6.5 years, there's obviously been a lot of things happen during that period of time where perhaps people have needed a bit more guidance or just somebody to listen to and have that relationship with. Have you seen it evolve over the last 6.5 years since you've been in the role?
I started this job 6 months before COVID.
Oh, congratulations.
So yeah, I started this role 6 months before that all kicked off. So I was still finding my feet, what that was about. And back then it was, you were constantly out, you were never at home, you were always seeing people. And it's seeing how you communicate with people evolve. I think that's probably the biggest thing I've noticed with this role, is not necessarily the role itself, because I still do the same thing I did 6.5 years ago of working with the lender, getting the outcome that they need. But it's how we communicate. WhatsApp's a wonderful thing. The amount of WhatsApp groups I'm part of, helping this lender, helping that specialist group, whatever it may be. So yeah, it's just how you communicate, not necessarily what you're communicating about.
And have you had to adapt to any kind of hybrid working or anything during that time? Because it used to be, I guess, you'd have to go Southampton one day, maybe Aberdeen the next, or whatever it was. Has that changed for you at all?
Yeah, when I first started, I don't think my husband very much said, well, do you actually live at home? The answer to that was no. I lived in a hotel, wherever that may be. Now, I probably go out once a week. I do try and limit how much I go out to make sure that I can get the most out of being, rather than just going for the sake of going out. So yeah, maybe do 2 days in London, but I try and back them and make it work better.
So you get to be at home more.
Yeah, I've got 3 cats, so my boys do like me to be at home.
And what the boys, what are they called? The cat?
Albus, Sirius, and Remus. I'm married to a Harry Potter fan.
Right. Okay. Do you know I've never watched Harry Potter or read it.
I don't know if we can continue on.
I don't think I must have missed the whole boat of it.
Yeah, my husband's the same age as Harry would be, so he kind of grew up with the books. So,
oh, right.
Yeah,
well,
it's the only part of my house that's not Disney is the Harry Potter stairs and my 3 cats.
Well, I think I was probably the same age as one of the wizards when it came.
No, you were clearly younger.
So we talked a bit about Legal & General at the beginning, obviously the 30 years and how it's evolved for you as well. Are you seeing a change in the products that people are using via the brokers these days, the end consumer?
Yeah, there's no such thing as vanilla anymore. You've got your Barclays and your Halifax, let them crack on with their vanillas, but even still, they're pivoting into more specialist areas. You look at some of the things that BM have done in limited company buy-to-let. Who'd have thought 4 or 5 years ago that they'd have even considered looking at something so specialist. And then lenders such as yourself, who are really specialist, just continue to keep evolving and coming up with new and exciting ways to support. And you wouldn't be doing that if there wasn't a need for that. We're hearing it not just from our brokers, but also from end consumers as well. You're just listening to people sat in the pub going, oh, I wish I could do X, Y, and Z. Well, actually, you can. Did you know that there's lenders available to help you? Yeah, there's a definite need. No such thing as vanilla. And I think people are still recovering from COVID and, dare we say it, trustonomics. I think there's still the vibrations of that being felt throughout the industry. And with the mini budget due in November, you can kind of feel everybody grabbing onto the edge of their seats going, oh, please don't do it to us again. Because we're obviously not in the safest economic space at the minute with the micro economy as it being as it is.
No, I think we've never been more in tune with all the, I think, go back 6 years ago, I don't think I would have known what the gold price was and how that would affect it and why the gold price. We just consume all this information now. Very rarely is it positive. Just as you think you got one piece of positive, something else comes out. So are you seeing a clamour for the brokers to be educated more in specialist finance?
We really are. So funnily enough, we're doing a specialist lending academy next year.
Wow.
On the back of all the new training and everything you can do in specialist. So that's something we've really listened to the key partners, particularly. We've got 60 of them that we work really closely with, that have said we want to train and educate our advisors to not just go, this is what I do, blinkers on, I do residential. It's how do we help them do more business, open that out and understand what it is more that the applicants are going to need. So, yeah, our inaugural Specialist Lending Academy will be next year.
Wow. And how many people do you think will go through that academy?
At the minute, we're still recruiting for the start of it, because it doesn't start till January. So we are still recruiting, but all of the lenders that have wanted to take part have really been excited to come and join us on that journey.
Brilliant. And I know that education's a key piece because, like you say, it's that vision. Yeah. I suppose as one income source might dry up, so remortgages or sales might dry up. People are starting to embrace things like bridging finance. And are you seeing an uptake in bridging finance across the brokers?
And more lenders going into that space. I think that's something to note. We can see an uptick. It's not a lending stream we see lots of through Club because it is very specialist lenders that tend to play in the bridging space. But more and more of the standard, maybe buy-to-let or standard residential lenders are going, we need to understand other elements. Let us expand our proposition into those areas. So if there's lenders are spreading, there's definitely a need for it.
And are you seeing technology changes at all?
Yeah, the scary thing, the word AI. Not going to lie, love me some ChatGPT, but it's normally to turn myself into a Disney princess on a cartoon. I've got far too many of them to count. My Instagram's littered with them. But it's so useful and it's so helpful, but it's ensuring that the advisors understand that technology only takes you so far. And that's coming from a company that have created our own technology. Yeah. And we're constantly looking at how do we incorporate AI? How do we incorporate other elements of technology to make the initial part of the process that little bit easier? We are firm believers at Legal & General that advice is key. We really champion advisors, and we will always nudge the customer back to an advisor where possible. So yes, technology is great. We want to keep using it to do the day-to-day boring bit, to remove the grunt work almost and allow the advisor to really focus on what is now becoming more specialist lending, to have those more in-depth conversations.
Yeah, I think we're a big believer at Roma that, again, we adopt. Yeah. We'll adopt elements of AI, we'll adopt new technologies, but it's the human touch is still the intelligent touch, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what it's all replacing. It's them hours of admin that people had to do. It's giving them an opportunity to go forward.
I mean, if you've got technology that can fill in your API for you, why would you not? Your API, your application, your decision in principle, that's an hour you've saved in your diary. You could be talking to somebody else.
Correct.
That's where it's most useful. You don't want it to be doing the work for you. Robo-advice was bandied around, maybe 5 years ago. Well, there's no robo-advisors, so we know how well that went.
Do you feel that the end consumer's changing it, that they becoming more informed as they're going into finance transactions?
Love him or loathe him, Martin Lewis has definitely had a lot to do with that. I think him being as vocal as he is, him really championing the end consumer. I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I'm a fan of what it is that he does. He really does champion the end consumer for having all the knowledge at their fingertips to understand what it is that they're getting into, which is then where the more specialist conversations are occurring, because there's so many consumers now that are getting mortgages that didn't think they could 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, my husband's self-employed, and the amount of his friends that go, I'm self-employed, I can't have a mortgage. You sure about that? It's not as hard as you think it is. It's actually really simple, self-employed now. And it's removing the stigma, and he's been really good for that. And I think the news in general, in some elements, it's not always positive, does help remove the stigma of you can't because you're not vanilla.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you've got more informed customers, more complex opportunity. Well, complex, not really complex. They have to get to advisors are getting to grips with that, and then using technology in the middle. It sort of feels for the right picture, because I think more people use a broker now.
They do, yeah.
Than perhaps used to, because of that depth of choice.
Yeah, it's over 90%, I think, of all mortgages are done through a broker. I mean, and at a mortgage club, we're 1 in 3 of all intermediate and 1 in 4 of all UK mortgages. So we see a lot of it coming through us as well.
Wow, 90%.
90%, yeah.
And there's still, obviously, people can go direct into lenders, but they miss out on that whole broad spectrum.
I mean, there's been the whole paper, hasn't there, recently with the FCA, where some of the top 6 are pushing for a little bit more of execution only, rightly or wrongly. I know we've had Claire Beardmore, our director's had her own thoughts. We've got a whole webinar on that. But like I say, we always champion advice and the need for advice. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your lifetime. Yep. It's a mortgage. I mean, the word mort, which is French for dead, is in the beginning of that title. You have this until death, 9 times out of 10. It is a lifetime commitment. So going into that without knowing all of the facts is quite a scary thing. And I think that's why more and more and more people are going to advisors.
And do you think people are more service driven these days as well? Certainly that end consumer. Are they looking more for that experience than just the document?
I think there's 2 different demographics. Okay. If you were to go to my mum, who's 62, no, she's 63, so's mum, she would want the hands-on, the paper. She prints everything out. No matter where we go, she prints out a plane ticket. She wants that handheld paper, somebody taking her through it step by step by step by step. You go back a couple of generations, they do everything on the phone. They don't really talk to people. Even I, sometimes my phone rings and go, I don't want to talk to people today. And I won't, I'll just text back. So it depends on the demographic, depends on how they want to be led through that. So I think if you're an advisor, if you're in that space, it's being able to cover everything. You want somebody that wants you to walk you through, hold your hand, step by step by step, wants to ring you for an update every 30 seconds. Then you've got your younger generations, or your more technical advanced generations, probably the way to word it, that send me a text message, keep me updated. As long as I know what's going off, I'm fine. Yeah. And it's finding the right place for everybody with it.
That must be different if it's a smaller firm or an independent advisor on their own. It must be different to try and have that omni-channel approach.
Yeah, I think it depends where they're based. I mean, if you're a one-man band and you're in a small village or a small town, you're going to have that more people touch base. But if you're a big network, a big firm, having the omni approach is easier. And I think people will approach the advisors that they need. Again, it's down to that research, isn't it? Yep. You don't just Google and go, who's at the top? What is it I'm looking for? And they can find that when they do the research if they're in consumer.
Good. Okay. And we mentioned about, obviously, specialist lending and bridging finance. Do you see that trend continuing, the depth of products?
Oh, 100%. If we're seeing top 6, top 10 stretch the legs into that, it's only going to continue to grow. You look at the buy-to-let space, limited company, I remember when I was on the support desk prior to this role, and I used to be able to list off the 5 lenders that did it without looking at my spreadsheet. I couldn't even begin to tell you now. And I used to pride myself on knowing certain elements of criteria, because the depth of what people are looking at is increasing. I've just been speaking to another lender about them branching out into a new area. And it's phone calls I'm having at least once a month. One of my lenders, and I look after 37, rings me and says, I'm looking at branching into this new area, this new element of criteria, this new lending stream. So we know that the need's there, and the lenders are answering the call.
Brilliant. Okay. I think a lot in buy-to-let, though, you have to evolve with it.
You do.
Because it's changing so much through legislation, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's so much still more to come as well, isn't there? Let's be honest.
There is, but it brings opportunity as well.
It does.
You know, for the people who are agile enough. And do you see that, just interested, do you ever see that there's in the specialist world, is it time, so speed, or is it price? What are people most sensitive on?
Both. I think it depends on the demographic. Yep. Your limited company buy-to-let lenders, it's speed. Right. They want to get it in, they want to get it out. The price is neither here nor there. Who's going to give me what I need at what speed? somebody newer to the game, it's more price sensitive. If you've got less capital behind you, you're going to be more sensitive to how much is that going to cost me per month overall. What's that look like? It definitely depends on the demographic of consumer as to whether it's price or speed led. There's always going to be somebody in the middle that goes, do you know what? I want everything. I want my cake. I want to eat it too. I want you to do it yesterday, and I want it to be the cheapest in the market. It's not always going to be the case. And it's just finding the right place for each consumer. And that's where advisors knowing the lenders really helps, because they can have that conversation with them. This is, again, back to the quality of advice, saying, yes, this lender may take 3 weeks. However, this is going to work better for you because of X, Y, and Z, because I know that lender. I know what they can do for you. And it's so much more than just knowing their proposition, knowing it is where they sit in the market. It's knowing the cogs within the lender and understanding how that lender can work for them.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much for that. So we touched a bit on before, you said before you went into this, you was a dancer.
Yes.
I think we should elaborate about that, because
so
there's not many professional dancers we've had on who go into finance. So.
No, so 20 years ago, I jumped on the Eurostar and headed to Disneyland Paris for 4 years, where I was in the parade and character department. I did showing my age here, the 15th anniversary parade. I was on the press day. And don't let your kids listen to this, I was the first ever evil queen from Snow White to ever appear at Disneyland Paris.
Like on the parade?
On the parade ever. They'd had the old witch before the hag that turns into, she used to do Halloween. But I was the first person to ever appear in the park as the evil queen from Snow White. And the first person I met was Phil Collins.
Oh.
There you go.
There you go. I don't think I can top that. There'll be a photo somewhere, I guess.
Oh, there's plenty of photos. Plenty of photos. I've got a Disney-themed Instagram. So I'm a Disney adult. I'm one of those words that people bandy around like it's a bad thing, but I'm not. I'm a Disney adult, and my Instagram proves that.
And have you been to the one in Florida?
So I've done Florida. I've done California. I've obviously done Disneyland Paris. I go to Disneyland Paris every year. But the bucket list is all 6 parks, the hidden island, and at least 1 cruise.
I didn't even know there were 6.
Yeah, so there's Hong Kong, Shanghai, Tokyo, California, Florida, and Paris. Then you've got Aulani, which is the hidden island. It's a resort in Hawaii. It looks beautiful. It's definitely to do. And then you've got the cruise ships as well.
God, well, I'm going to make sure my daughter doesn't watch this. I will tell her that I did meet the
evil queen.
Evil queen.
But don't watch it back, because you're going to cost me a lot of money.
Don't watch it back. I'll just stop it there.
Yeah.
So the transition from dancing into finance was obviously a very easy one, I guess. Lots of transferable skills.
Yeah. To be fair, more transferable skills than you think, which is why I like relationship management. Because if you can deal with an angry French person when you tell them no, you can deal with anything.
I suppose if you can also remember all the routines, you can remember the criteria.
Exactly that, yeah.
You can enter a room and leave an impression.
And if anybody ever needs me to present, it's always me the roll out, because it's the only part of my job I'm technically trained to do.
I suppose. And on that, listen, I could talk a bit more about Disney, but I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us there. And thanks very much, everybody else, for watching. Thank you.